I'm tired of pretending I don't want it. Finished believing it has no chance to exist. The time has come for me to say it with no shame. I want the Snyderverse back.
I will find him!
To see the original vision that we were all invested in for so long finally come to fruition in all of its gritty glory. Today we're going to talk about why it's not just a good idea to bring back the Snyderverse, but how quickly it's becoming a possible one.
You're gonna go to war.
It's been a few years and the dust has since settled on the gravestone of the always polarizing Snyderverse. So let's start by taking a quick look back at what happened, the original storylines we were robbed of, and finally, let's get the dirt swirling on top of that coffin again. It's 2013 and everything is fan-effing-tastic. Director of bangers like 300 and Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder was hired to pivot the Superman franchise away from the missteps of Bryan Singer's Superman Returns. The project would be produced by Christopher Nolan on the heels of the unimaginably successful Dark Knight trilogy. Hope was in the air. However, that June 14th of 2013 release day would go down one of two ways for those in the audience. It would seem that you either walked out of Man of Steel psyched about witnessing a different, more adult take on one of your favorite superheroes, with Hans Zimmer's Take Flight stuck in your head, having conversations about all the interesting ideas it brought up about the character. Or you walked out really pissed off that it didn't feel like the Christopher Reeves, Richard Donner Superman of old, although an attempt at duplicating that feeling with Superman Returns had just flopped. Perhaps you were angry that Superman didn't have red trunks on or the movie wasn't colorful enough, whereas those like me saw it as a more realistic view on hope and humanity.
They will fall, but in time, they will join you in the sun, Cal.
Regardless, the conversation about this approach began right then and right there. The conversation was refereed though by a faulty judge, the Rotten Tomatoes algorithm. These reviews weren't awful. It currently sits at a 57% rotten on the flawed algorithm, but they weren't what was expected. They weren't the adoration fest that was going on between Marvel and the media at the time. This moment would be used over and over again by Warner Brothers executives desperate to copy and paste the Marvel formula and the money it should provide them, to question every thoughtful or innovative choice Snyder would make from there on out. It would cause them to bastardize the follow-up Batman vs. Superman to the point Snyder would have to release an ultimate cut of his original version just to get the story out there, which, and this will become a theme, proved to be better than the theatrical version Warner Brothers wanted to put out and fixed a lot of the issues that the critics had with the film in the first place. Batman vs. Superman had issues, I'll admit it. The Martha storyline could have been written tighter, the Doomsday storyline probably could have been 3 films on its own rather than just shoved into an already busy script. And Jesse Eisenberg. But what those gleefully attacking BVS and Snyder didn't give them any credit for were the thoughtful and mature themes underneath some genuinely badass superhero moments. Snyder didn't just bang 2 action figures together, slap some comedy on that thing and call it a day. Batman vs. Superman dealt with post-9/11 national security anxiety with an entire city dealing with the PTSD of the Zod attack, including Bruce Wayne. Much like Nolan's Batman portrayed what it would have felt like in real life if the character really existed, and was rightfully praised for it, Snyder did so with Superman and was crucified. Folks pushed up their glasses and laughed at Batman vs. Superman while the studio dismembered it entirely in an embarrassing attempt to try and please those very same people. But the truth is, the world just wasn't ready for something that thoughtful in spandex, and we all know what happened next. Zack Snyder suffered a family tragedy, Warner Brothers, and yet another shameless effort to please the vegetable website and be more like Marvel, force-inserted Joss Whedon into the set of Justice League. It was walking garbage for a myriad of reasons. A horrific Frankenstein of thoughtful ideas shoved by force into a bunny suit to be paraded around for the masses. What's worse, allegations of Whedon and others doing terrible things on set as Snyder and his wife, producer Deborah Snyder, grieved their daughter. Believing a far better, darker, and more epic version existed under Snyder's direction, fans launched the Release the Snyder Cut campaign and kept the movement alive for years despite being ridiculed by the media. Thankfully, Warner Brothers was ran like the Fire Festival at the time, and both figureheads and decisions were changing like the wind. Finally, it happened. And once again, just like with the ultimate cut of Batman vs. Superman, Snyder was proven right. If you just leave the man alone and let him work, you might just end up with a piece of art that has the cojones to ask some adult questions of its audience, and one that features the kind of explosive moments that you show up to the theater for in the first place. So, Zack Snyder's films aren't perfect. Okay, that's fine. But the present day shows very clearly that we don't judge others under the same scrutiny. James Gunn's critically beloved and gushed over Superman film has brighter colors and happy-go-lucky moments throughout. Superman 2025 also features at times downright putrid special effects sequences, corny dialogue, and he replaced Krypto with a digitized poodle dog meant to sell toys. And that won't bother some people, and that's okay. It doesn't bother a lot of us that Batman killed some bad guys in BVS. Big whoop. But comparing the two only ends with none of us being happy or being able to enjoy the moment. You can complain that Man of Steel had Superman kill Zod. I can say that he had to do it to save an innocent family. You can complain about that, in my opinion, heartbreaking moment when Superman let his dad die in the tornado to protect his identity. Alright, but you're totally fine with Gunn rewriting Superman's entire origin story and making his parents villains? Not to mention, one movie features Kevin Costner giving heartfelt performances, and another portrays Ma and Pa Kent as hillbillies who don't talk too good.
Luann, she seems nice.
It was Lois.
But it's fine. What I'm really trying to say here is that both films are flawed, but Snyder's darker vision of Superman and DC has just as much of a right to exist as Gunn's happy-go-lucky one does. There's no reason that one needs to kill the other. You don't need to hate one to enjoy the other. And all I'm proposing is that we give Snyder's films the same grace that we've given Gunn's. So with that out of the way and our torches put down, what would bringing the Snyderverse back in today's climate look like, story-wise? Snyder's given us a hint. In the epilogue of Zack Snyder's Justice League, we are in the alternate future hellscape, a world affected by the anti-life equation. Lois is dead, Superman is evil, and the world is in ruins. Batman teams up with likely the only heroes left, as well as Deathstroke and Joker. Snyder would later inform us that Jared Leto's Joker was in the crew only because he knew where a mother box was, as well as a secret stash of kryptonite that was hidden away. In the scene, Batman and Joker have a larger-than-life conversation, the first time this happens in this universe, that feels like the Snyder version of De Niro and Pacino at the diner in Heat. There, it is hinted at that Joker murdered Robin in horrific fashion and that Batman murdered Harley Quinn in revenge. It's also revealed that Aquaman and probably everyone else was dead.
And make no mistake, I will fucking kill you. Then I do it slow.
Superman shows up to kill them all and the movie ends before we ever get to see the fight. Snyder later revealed that his plan for a second Justice League movie was following this ragtag group of Justice League members as they steal the Mother Box to power Flash's return in time to warn Bruce Wayne and change the entire outcome. Hopefully also to recast Ezra Miller. He also reveals that the reason Superman turned to darkness was because Luthor found the anti-life equation and teamed up with Riddler to solve it. He then informed Darkseid that if he wanted Superman to succumb to the anti-life equation, he'd have to kill Lois Lane, in effect breaking Superman's will. Lois Lane was hiding out at the Batcave under the promised protection of Batman at the time, and Superman shows up just in time to watch her die. Superman then gives in to the anti-life equation as predicted, and it kicks the nightmarescape off. It's fascinating storytelling. What's extremely rad about this is the night before the mission, the group would have a conversation that would act almost as an anthology of amazing stories. One of these stories would be the Joker telling the story of how he killed Robin, which could be a powerful film all by itself. Finally, Superman shows up and kills all of them. Of course, the Flash makes it back in time and some of this is avoided, but we still get to watch it take place on screen in this alternate universe. Then in the third Justice League movie, the Defenders of Earth would have taken on Darkseid. There are many other details around this which sound fascinating, but in the name of holding out hope, those could get pretty spoiler territory fueled at this point. And here's why. So while even Snyder has admitted in the past that a return to the Snyderverse feels like a pipe dream, he also admits that he never saw the Snyder Cut happening either. He's also previously said that if someone like Netflix were to acquire the rights to the characters from his DC universe, he would absolutely return to the sandbox. The head of Netflix at the time also acknowledged it was a route he would take if only he had the rights. Fast forward to the year of our Dark Lord 2025, and Warner Brothers, which of course owns the rights to these characters, is currently up for sale. Netflix is one of the companies who is currently expected to be part of that bidding war, alongside Paramount and Comcast. Here's where it gets even spicier. There are rumors currently swirling the entertainment industry that any one of these bids for Warner Brothers could include sovereign wealth funds from Saudi Arabia. One of the proposed perks of this partnership and funding is apparently creative perks that could include a guaranteed intellectual property. We aren't here to get any more tinfoil hat than we already are, but let's just say it's also worth noting that currently Zack Snyder is directing and co-writing a UFC film called Brawler in a partnership with Dana White and the chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority. I wouldn't call it a bat signal lighting up the dark sky, but I would call it a little bit of smoke. Even if that's not the case, Warner Brothers' leadership were the one true reason that the original vision Snyder had for the DCU was dicked up and never finished, and Warner Brothers are on the cusp of no longer existing. Pair that with the passion Snyder clearly still has for these characters, and we have us a little something cooking. Hell, just look at his recent post on social media. So yeah, it could happen. Should it? Yeah, and here's why. For starters, Snyder's entire vision for the DCEU has aged much better than expected. In the years since the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the success of the formulaic MCU way of storytelling has slowed down greatly, while darker, auteur-driven storytelling has thrived in the right spots. Matt Reeves' The Batman, Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker. Even Marvel's most successful venture lately was the R-rated Deadpool and Wolverine.
Even Forrest Bump.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yes! But I can't.
Audiences are craving something different, and in many cases something dangerous. Imagine how dangerous Snyder's previous DCU films would have been if he were let off the Warner Brothers leash. And if you're wondering whether or not the box office and support would still be there for something like this, look no further than the fact that beyond all the buzz and all of the praise of James Gunn's Superman, the box office total came up $55 million short of what Man of Steel did back in 2013. Yet both Man of Steel and his follow-ups are spoken of as if they were box office poison. But again, there's no need to compare or diminish either. Why not have both? Let there be a DC for kids or those looking for a shinier approach to these characters, and let there also be entertainment for those of us who want to see these characters in more adult situations. Because there are so many innovative and deep places you could take them when your only concern isn't mass appeal. Look at how many Elseworld and multiverse stories already currently exist. Hell, we have Matt Reeves' Batman happening right now while James Gunn works on The Brave and the Bold with Andy Muschietti. The tones are so different that oversaturation really shouldn't matter. The Snyderverse has proven over and over again that it will have a support base already built in from the start with an endless internet marketing reach. This all suddenly seems very real with the current financial partner possibilities that are at play here. And even if you're not into it, you have to admit it might be nice to have a take on these beloved characters that's not meant to fit in a one-size-fits-all bottle of sanitized perfection.
Everything special about you came out of a bottle.
And not to mention, it'd be really nice if we all had the choice to sit back and enjoy the DCU of our choosing without having to treat each other with such hate over a simple difference in taste. So yeah, however it happens, I'm gonna say it proudly. I want the Snyderverse back. And that should be okay to say. Because it just might happen.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.